In my notes, for quite some time now, I've been keeping track of 4 distributions I promised myself I'd try. They're not mainstream projects. These are small, often overlooked distros that caught my attention for one reason or another. And that's the tragedy for these kinds of projects. Emerging in the Linux ecosystem is anything but easy. There are countless small developer teams, or even just lone enthusiasts, who sometimes create genuine gems that end up forgotten. Sometimes it's because they follow a path that's not trendy. Other times, a single technical decision is enough to compromise an otherwise solid idea. And sometimes there are simply too many ideas, and the result is chaos. You don't get a distro, you get a mess. The truth is, creating a Linux distribution today is technically easy. I believe even an average user with a bit of effort and modern tools could pull it off. But creating a real distro, functional, coherent, and actually attractive to users, now that is a different story. I don't know if these 4 distros are truly valid, I'll be honest, because I haven't tested them yet. But with summer approaching and my desire to avoid anything that requires physical or mental effort, I think I'll end up trying at least one. In the meantime, I want to share them with you. Maybe some of you have already used them, and if so, tell me what you think. Bedrock isn't a distro in the traditional sense. It's a meta-distribution, a system that lets you mix and use software from multiple distributions at the same time, on the same machine, seamlessly. Imagine this: apt from Debian, DNF from Fedora, Pacman from Arch, Muscle from Alpine, all in one system, all working together. With Bedrock, you get the best of every world: the stability of Debian, the freshness of Arch, the modularity of Alpine, the special patches from NixOS or Void. Everything coexists, thanks to a concept called strata. Each stratum is a real distribution layer. You choose which stratum to install a package from, and use it as if it were part of your main system. It completely breaks the traditional concept of a distribution. With Bedrock, you're no longer bound to a single base. You can use whatever software you want, from wherever you want, without choosing between stability and innovation, or conservatism and experimentation. It's one of the most revolutionary ideas in the Linux world, on paper. Yes, because it's a fascinating and extremely ambitious project. But does it really work? Well, you'll find out soon, because this one, I'm definitely going to install. Now we head to Brazil with Biglinux. You've probably never heard of it, but it deserves attention. Biglinux is based on Arch with a simplified installer via Calamares, and it's a true labor of love for the desktop. Visually, it's stunning, like a mix of Linux Mint and KDE Neon, but with its own custom-built tools. One of its coolest features, all files are automatically compressed using ZSTD without you having to lift a finger. You use the system normally, see your files as usual, but they're actually stored in a compact format. Really? Yes, and it works. There are GUI tools for everything: driver management, performance tuning, customization, desktop environment switching, theme control, all just a click away. In short, it's Arch without the struggle. Same power, same rolling release philosophy, but user-friendly. Sure, it's still another easy Arch-based distro, and that's no longer a rarity. But while browsing their website, I noticed something odd. Clicking some links takes you to a different domain, which seems to belong to another distro. A bit of confusion, maybe, in their web structure. Despite that, Biglinux has its own strong identity, an active Brazilian community, and clear attention to detail. And well, I love Brazil and Brazilian women, and I feel like Brazilians are a lot like me: warm, friendly, with a love for life and being together. So maybe this distro will surprise me too, and maybe I'll really like it. The third one is a distro that breaks your brain in a good way: BlendOS. It's developed by Rudra Saraswat, the same guy who revived Ubuntu Unity, but this time he's done something completely different. The idea is radical. Why choose between Arch, Fedora, or Ubuntu when you can have them all? With BlendOS, you can install packages from multiple Linux ecosystems using container-like technology. But the user sees none of that. Everything looks like one unified system. You can install a .deb or a package from Arch or Fedora, and it all works. It's a modern rolling release, technically ambitious, and with a clear goal: to overcome the distribution wars. A single base, with packages and desktop environments pulled from everywhere. The official website literally states, Arch Linux made declarative, immutable, and atomic, with Android app support and Fedora, Debian, CentOS Stream, and Ubuntu containers available, as well as system packages, DEs, and kernels from Arch Linux. Now, I call these kinds of distributions the big pileups. They try to be everything, and often end up being nothing. But I won't judge, because I haven't tested it yet. And honestly, I'm tempted. Maybe this time it'll surprise me. We wrap up with a distro you probably don't expect: Redcore Linux, a Romanian distribution based on Gentoo but designed for people who don't have time to waste. And honestly, I've never quite understood why Gentoo-based distributions aren't more popular. They're not trendy, and yet Gentoo as a base is solid, powerful, clean. Years ago I used Sabe on Linux, and I loved it. It was even fairly popular, and then it just disappeared. What a shame. Redcore takes Gentoo's power and flexibility and bundles it into a precompiled, rolling, optimized system with KDE Plasma pre-installed. The philosophy is simple: bring Gentoo to those with little time but who still want full control. You can use it as is or as a base to switch to full Gentoo. It's fast, stable, and despite being niche, the documentation is decent. Redcore is for those who love extreme customization but don't feel like compiling the kernel at 2 a.m. anymore. It feels like a serious, solid distro that just gets the job done, quietly. Maybe a little too quietly, since the last post on the official forum is from a few months ago. Who knows? Maybe I'll be the only person using it. But honestly, that kind of makes it even more appealing. And yes, I checked. The ISO from March 2025 is available, so it's still actively developed. These 4 distributions will never show up on tech site homepages. They'll never be mentioned in sponsored videos. But they exist, alive or semi-abandoned, waiting to be discovered. They live on Spartan homepages, in quiet forums, in repositories updated in the middle of the night. And for years, I've loved digging through these projects. It helps me overcome a kind of reverse FOMO, not the one that pushes you to chase the latest trend, but the one that whispers, what if we missed something beautiful, useful, or brilliant, just because it was too small to notice? I feel a bit melancholic thinking about all the ideas that may have been born in the wrong place or at the wrong time. Sometimes a project dies because of one technical decision, other times because it aimed too high or not high enough. But that's the beauty of our ecosystem. I think it's practically impossible to count how many Linux distributions truly exist. Maybe 250, maybe many more. And yes, I'll admit, a lot of these underground distros are amateur projects, the work of a single passionate person or a small group of enthusiasts. They often start with great intentions, which then fade when reality hits. But sometimes, something truly new is born. Because in the world of Linux, real innovation doesn't come from the giants. It comes from the little guys.